Mantras of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says in our integral yoga, we begin with the idea, the will, the aspiration of the complete surrender. But at the same time, we have to reject the lower nature, deliver our consciousness from it, deliver the self involved in the lower nature by the self rising to freedom in the higher nature. With always our love and blessing, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Words of our Divine Mother, taken from the collective works of our Divine Mother, Volume 2, page 96, topic Trust in the Divine Grace and Help. Our Divine Mother says, the grace is infinite for him who sincerely trusts the grace. The divine grace is always with you, and by your trust, you allow its action to be effective. It is in proportion to our trust in the divine. It is in proportion to our trust in the divine that the divine grace can act for us and help. Our Divine Mother says integral trust in the divine is the trust that gives the true support to life. Our trust in the divine must depend not upon outward circumstances. Very few are those who can stand firm on the rock of their faith and trust in the divine. It is absurd to ask for help and yet to have no trust. On the contrary, with confidence, everything becomes so easy. Our Divine Mother says, with trust in the Divine's grace, all obstacles can be surmounted. When we trust in the Divine's grace, we get an unfailing courage. Have full trust in the Divine's grace, and the Divine's grace will help you in all ways. Like the child who does not reason and has no care, trust thyself to the divine that his will may be done. Whatever happens, we must remain quiet and trust the divine's grace. Our Divine Mother says, keep a cool head, strong and very quiet nerves, and a complete trust in the divine's grace. Aspiration for trust in the divine is an intense need for that immutable peace given by the certitude of the divine grace. Nothing can be compared to the peace that comes from a total trust in the grace. Leave all care to the divine's grace, including your progress, and you will be in peace, says our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, the more one knows, the more one realizes that one knows nothing. For one who has total trust in the divine, in his wisdom and mercy, there are no more problems. The triumph of the divine is certain. If we keep the true trust, we shall never take the wrong path. Next topic, the divine grace and difficulties. Our Divine Mother says it is only by remaining perfectly peaceful and calm, with an unshakable confidence and faith in the divine grace that you will allow circumstances to be as good as they can be. The very best happens always to those who have put their entire trust in the divine and in the divine alone. Our Divine Mother says, when in your life you meet with a hardship, when in your life you meet with a hardship, take it as a grace from the Lord, and indeed it will become so. In any case, and whatever happens, always consider events as a gift from the divine grace, which is leading you by swift paths towards the spiritual goal of your life. Our Divine Mother says, what can be done will be done, but it is a matter of regret that you waited so long for the warning. In any case, the only thing which is really effective is to will what the divine wills and to keep an unshakable confidence in the supreme compassion of the divine grace, for through that it is always the best that happens, not the best according to the human idea, but best according to the supreme truth. Be calm and full of a solid and pure faith. Our Divine Mother says, all depends on what you want. If you want integral yoga, take all that happens as the expression of the divine grace leading you towards your goal and try to understand the lesson that circumstances give. For those who have given themselves to the divine, each difficulty that confronts them is an assurance of a new progress, and thus must be taken as a gift from the grace. When difficulties besiege you, know that the divine grace is with you. Our Divine Mother says people believe that grace means making everything smooth for all your life. It is not true. The grace works for the realization of your aspiration, and everything is arranged to gain the most prompt, the quickest realization. Our Divine Mother says the grace is something that pushes you towards the goal to be attained. Do not try to judge it by your mind. You will not get anywhere because it is something formidable which is not explained through human words or feelings. When the grace acts, the result may or may not be pleasant. It takes no action of any human value. It may even be a catastrophe from the ordinary and superficial point of view. But it is always the best for the individual. It is a blow that the divine sends so that the progress may be made by leaps and bounds. The grace is that which makes you march swiftly towards the realization. Of one thing we must be convinced, all that happens is exactly what must happen in order to lead us and the world as quickly as possible to the goal, the union with the divine, and ultimately the manifestation of the divine. And this faith, sincere and constant, is at once our help and protection, says our Divine Mother. Next topic from page 86, the divine grace. Our Divine Mother says, the Supreme has sent His grace into the world to save it. It is the divine grace that must be prayed for. If justice were to manifest, very few would be those who would stand in front of it. Justice is the strict logical determinism of the moments of the universal nature. Illnesses are this determinism applied to the material body. The medical mind, basing itself upon this ineluctable justice, strives to bring about the conditions that should lead logically to good health. The moral consciousness acts in the same way in the social body and tapasya in the spiritual domain. Our Divine Mother says the divine grace alone has the power to intervene and change the course of universal justice. The great work of the Avatar is to manifest the divine grace upon earth. To be a disciple of the Avatar is to become an instrument of the divine grace. Our Divine Mother says, Mother is the great dispensatrix through identity of the divine grace with a perfect knowledge, through identity of the absolute mechanism of universal justice. And through her mediation, each moment of sincere and confident aspiration towards the divine calls down in response the intervention of the grace. Our Divine Mother says, who can stand before Thee, Lord, and say in all sincerity, I have never made a mistake? How many times in a day we commit faults against Thy work, and always Thy grace comes to efface them. Without the intervention of Thy grace, without the intervention of Thy grace, who would not oftentimes have come under the merciless blade of the law of universal justice? Each one here represents an impossibility to be solved, but as for Thy divine grace, all is possible. Thy work will be, in the detail as in the whole, the accomplishment of all these impossibilities transformed into the divine realization. Divine grace, Thy goodness is infinite. We bow before Thee in gratitude, says our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says the divine grace cannot be explained through words and mental formulas. It is only the divine grace that gives peace, happiness, power, light, beatitude, and love in their essence and their truth. Who is worthy or unworthy in front of the divine grace? All are children of the one and the same Mother. Her love is equally spread over all of them, but to each one she gives according to his nature and receptivity. Say, I have received this grace. Say, I have received His grace. I must be worthy of it. Then all will be well. Let us give ourselves without reserve to the divine, so best shall we receive the divine grace. Our Divine Mother says the grace is equal for all, but each one receives it according to his sincerity. It does not depend on outward circumstances, but on sincere aspiration and oneness. Right use of the granted grace is no deformation, no diminution, no exaggeration, but a clear sincerity. Call of the divine grace is not noisy, but persistent and very perceptible to those who knows how to listen, says our Divine Mother. Next topic, the divine help. Our Divine Mother says, whenever there is sincerity and goodwill, the Divine's help is always there. Be ever one pointed in your surrender and sincere in your aspiration. You will constantly feel the presence of the Divine's help and guidance. With the Divine's help, nothing is impossible. For nobody would sadhana be possible without the Divine's help, but the help is always there. The help is always there. It is you who must keep your receptivity living. The divine help, says our Divine Mother, is much vaster than what human being is able to receive. Those who will be able to become receptive by the mastery of the psychic upon the ego will know what this help is and will have the full benefit of it. Everyone is given his chance and the help is there for all, but for each the benefit is proportionate to his sincerity. Our Divine Mother says, divine help is modest in appearance, powerful in action. In the topic Faith in the Divine Grace and Help, our Divine Mother says, have a steady faith in the Divine Grace. Continue to have full faith in the Divine Grace, will, and action, and all will be all right. All depends on the intensity of the faith and firmness of the right attitude. Our Divine Mother says, the grace is always with you. The grace is always with you. Concentrate in your heart with a silent mind, and you're sure also to receive the guidance and the help you aspire for. The grace and help are always there for all who aspire for them, and their power is limitless when received with faith and confidence. Our Divine Mother says the grace is always there, ready to act, but you must let it work and not resist in its action. The one condition required is faith. When you feel attacked, call for help to Sri Aurobindo and myself. If your call is sincere, that is to say, if you sincerely want to be cured, your call will be answered and the grace will cure you. Our Divine Mother says, yes, faith in the grace always brings about its intervention. For the grace to have a perfect and total result of its action, the faith must be total and perfect. Our Divine Mother says, once more, the lack of faith of the human mind brings complications and pain, where a quiet faith in the Divine's guidance, all would be very simple and easy. It is for the growth of this faith and confidence that I have been working for many years. Obviously, the resistance is obstinate. Why disappointing? If there is 1 in 100 who has a true faith, it is already a miracle. The grace will never fail us. Such is the faith we must keep constantly in our heart. It is the lack of our faith that creates our limitations. Our Divine Mother says, the divine grace is with us and never leaves us, even when the appearances are dark. The Supreme's power is infinite. It is our faith that is small. At each moment of our life, in all circumstances, the grace is there, helping us to surmount all difficulties. In failure as well as in success, the Divine's grace is always there. The closer you come to the Divine, the more you live under a shower of overwhelming evidence of His immeasurable grace. Our faith in the omnipotence of the grace is never equal to what the grace itself is. An absolute faith and the trust in the divine grace is the last analysis, the supreme wisdom. Through this apparent chaos, a new and better order is being formed, but to see it, one must have the faith in the divine grace. Question, sweet mother, in the present growing conflict, what should be our attitude? For this, our Divine Mother says, faith and total confidence in the divine grace. It is when all seems lost that all can be saved. When you have lost confidence in your personal power, then you should have faith in the divine grace, says our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, at the very moment when everything seems to go from bad to worse, it is then that we must make a supreme act of faith and know that the grace will never fail. I mean, act according to the inner conviction, regardless of all consequences, and keep your faith unshaken in spite of the apparent so called proofs to the contrary. Surely all this comes to teach us to have a quiet faith, that which is truly needed we shall have, and for the rest, we must not bother. In the final analysis, everything really depends on the divine grace, and we should look at the future with confidence and serenity, progressing at the same time as quickly as we can. Our Divine Mother says, in an ardent faith lies salvation. In the final analysis, it is the Supreme Lord who does all. We must be faithful instruments. Our Divine Mother says, have faith and unshaken confidence. The divine grace will do the rest. Let us offer our will to the divine grace. It is the grace that accomplishes all. The grace alone can act, that alone can open the way, that alone can do the miracle. Keep good faith in the grace, she is the doer of all miracles. Our Divine Mother says we must learn to rely only on the divine grace and to call for its help in all circumstances, then it will work out constant miracles. Our Divine Mother says, however long the journey may be, however great the traveler, at the end is found exclusive reliance on the divine grace. The divine grace alone shall be our support, says our
पारमाद्यन्तहीनं प्रपद्ये परं पावनमद्वैतहीनं नमस्ते नमस्ते विभो विश्वमूर्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते चिदानन्दमूर्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते तपोयोगगम्य नमस्ते नमस्ते श्रुतिज्ञानगम्य ॐ नमो निर्दिष्टाय प्रियतमदभिष्टाय च नमो ॐ नमः क्षोदिष्ठाय स्मरहरमहिष्ठाय च नमः ॐ नमो वर्षिष्ठाय त्रिनयनयविष्ठाय च नमः ॐ नमः सर्वस्मैते तदितमतिशर्वाय च नमः वन्दे